Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. Myself Pyq and this is the 12th part of the series Practicing PIQ. As you know that I had already started a series where I talked about the PIQ and try to read the explanation which is given in this PDF. So this is the second part of December 2009. I had already done December 2009 first part. So let's start with the question number 26, and here you have to match the character with the novel. So let's go to the explanation. Sound and Fury. So it was a novel by American writer William Faulkner and it was published in 1929. So Caddy Compson appears as a character in the novel. So Caddy is an important character of the novels, The Sound and the Fury, and you should know that The Sound and the Fury, this title was taken from Macbeth, Shakespeare's Macbeth. Then, Of Mice and Men is a novella written by John Steinbeck. I don't know why they use the word another. So it is a novella written by John Steinbeck, published in 1937. It tells the story of Lenny and George. And George is a practical man, and Lenny is a man who have the disability. And he is so innocent, and you know that uh, he killed women in the novella. And John Steinbeck was also a Nobel laureate. Then The Sun Also Rises is a 1926 novel written by American author Ernest Hemingway. Jake Barnes is protagonist and narrator in the novel. So Jake Barnes, The Sun Also Rises. So it is a novel by Ernest Hemingway where Jake Barnes, he is a you see in this novel that he is a important and because of the world war. So the depression was shown in this novel, The Sun Also Rises. Then Seize the Day is first published in 1956 and it is written by Sean Bellow. Tommy is a character in this poem. So here you see that um, John Steinbeck is a Nobel laureate. Ernest Hemingway is a Nobel laureate, and Sean Bellow was also a Nobel laureate. Okay, so and William Faulkner also is a Nobel laureate. So these are the famous work by them, and here you have to match the character with the novel. So you have to know the summary of this novel. Then, who among the following writers belong to the American Beat movement? So American Beat movement is important, and the answer will be Allen Ginsberg. Allen Ginsberg was associated or belonged to American Beat movement. The American Beat movement is also called Beat Generation. The Beat Generation was a group of authors whose literature explored and influenced American culture in the post-World War II era. Allen Ginsberg's Howl and other poems is often considered representative of the beat poets. The term beat generation was coined by Jack Kerouac. So the term beat generation was coined by Jack Kerouac and Allen Ginsberg was part of it. Then the lost generation. The lost generation is a name applied to the disillusioned intellectuals and aesthetics of the years following the First World War, who call the term the lost generation. So Gertrude Stein, this question I am doing maybe two or third times. So the lost generation was the generation came of age during World War First, and the term popularized by Ernest Hemingway in the Sun Also Rises. So as I told you that after Second World War, the depression, the frustration was shown in this novel, The Sun Also Rises, because the main protagonist or the narrator of the novel, Jack, what is name, so he was suffering because he became impotent because of the war. maybe for some incident. So Lost Generation was famous by Ernest Hemingway, and it was given by Gertrude Stein, who credits the phrase to Gertrude Stein, who was his mentor and patron. Then hyperbole. So what is hyperbole? Hyperbole is an extravagant exaggeration and a figure of speech. So it is a figure of speech, as you know, and it is an extravagant exaggeration. And hyperbole is the use of exaggeration as a rhetoric device or figure of speech. Then imagined communities. So imagined communities is a concept propounded by, so it was propounded by Benedict Anderson. I made a series where I talked about these proponents and their important theory or term or concept. So there I talked about the imagined communities. You can check it also. So imagined communities was given by Benedict Anderson. Anderson coined this term in his book Imagined Communities, in which he explains the concept in depth, and it was first published in 1983. Then the new historists include, so the new historists include Greenblatt, Monstro, and Goldberg. New historicism is a school of literary theory which first developed in the 1980s, primarily through the work of Stephen Greenblatt. Then Wallace Stevens, the man with the blue guitar, was maybe linked to the work of the following artists. So Wallace Stevens, the man with the blue guitar, may be linked to the work of the following artists, and it was with Picasso. The Man with Blue Guitar is a poem published in 1937. So I also read this poem, and it is a beautiful poem. It was by Wallace Stevens, and it was his most famous poem. And it is divided into 33 lengthy sections and cantos, and takes the form of the imaginary conversation with the subject of Pablo Picasso's painting The Old Guitarist. Then the author of Gender Trouble. So the author of Gender Trouble is Judith Butler. Gender Trouble, Feminism and the Subversion of Identity is a 1990 book by Butler. The work is influential in feminism and women's studies, lesbian and gay studies, and queer theory. Gender Trouble by Judith Butler. The structural analysis of science was practiced by, so it was practiced by Roland Barthes. Roland Barthes was a French literary theorist and philosopher. Barthes' introduction to the structural analysis of narrative is concerned with examining correspond between structure and narratives. So the structural analysis of science was practiced by Roland Barthes. So I also made a video about Roland Barthes. You can check it, where I try to explain the concepts by Roland Barthes. Then which of the following is a spoof of a Gothic novel? So you know that it is Northanger Abbey, because it was not a Gothic novel. It looked like a Gothic novel, but it was not, because the protagonist at the end, she came to know that it was it was her own mistake. So Northanger Abbey, here the writer tried to criticize the Gothic genre. Was first of Jane Austen's novel to get published and written around 1798 to 99. So here Jane Austen tried to criticize the genre Gothic novel. And others are like Frankenstein, Castle of Otranto, remarkably, and Mysteries of Udolpho are the Gothic novel. Frankenstein is not a Gothic novel, but it has the hint of Gothicness. Then the Mad Woman in the Attic is a specific reference to, so it is specific reference to Bertha Manson's of Jane Eyre. So Bertha Manson, you know the character. She was the wife, wife of maybe Rochester, and from this character the whole work was made, The Mad Woman in the Attic. So it was the adoption of Bertha Mason of of Jane Eyre. The Mad Woman in the Attic, it was published in 1979, examines Victorian literature from a feminist perspective. So it gives you a feminist perspective. The writer draw their title from Bronte's Jane Eyre, in which Rochester's wife Bertha Mason is kept locked in the attic by her husband. So here he tried to say that why the character Bertha Mason is kept in the attic. Why? What is her fault? So here he tried to sorry here she tried to write this work, and here he took this character's suggestion. Then the next is an assertion and reasoning question. Dr. Johnson's The Lives of the Poets carries critical and biographical studies of poets he admired, and it does not, however, carry a life of William Wordsworth. Reason: Dr. Johnson singled out poets whom he not only admired but also adored. This explanation, so you have to know. So neither A or R is true. Lives of the most eminent English poet by it was written in from 1779 to 81, and is a work by Samuel Johnson comprising short biographies and critical appraisal of 52 poets, most of whom lived in 18th century. So these two statements were wrong. Then what is the correct chronological sequence of the following? So the answer will be A. Maud Flanders first, then Pamela, Joseph Andrews, and Tristram Shandy. For the fortune, please note down the subtitle, because most of the time they ask the subtitle only. The Fortunes and Misfortunes of the Famous Maud Flanders is a novel by Daniel Defoe, published in 1722. Pamela, or Virtue Rewarded, is an epistolary novel by Samuel Richardson, published in 1740. Then Joseph Andrews was published in 1742 and written by Henry Fielding. Tristram Shandy is a humorous novel by Lawrence Sterne, and it was published in 1759. So you have to know the subtitle, because this is the importance to read this explanation, right? After reading this explanation, you can get more information about the text. Then question number 39, how can what an Englishman believes by heresy? It is a contradiction in terms. This means, the answer will be C. C mean 1 or 3. Mean it is an Englishman does not know what heresy is, and and therefore there is no question of his heresy. So the answer will be C. This means that Englishman does not know what heresy is, and therefore there is no question of heresy. Then which of the following is an essentially Freudian concept? The uncanny, right? The uncanny is an essentially Freudian concept, and there is a work also written in the same title. The psychological concept, the uncanny, as sometimes that is strangely familiar rather than just mysterious, was first introduced by Sigmund Freud in his essay Thus Ehemlich, so which means the uncanny. So I will going to make a video about Sigmund Freud, where I will talk about this concept also. Then he wrote an essay called Conrad Darkness, where he praised the earlier writer for offering him a vision of world's half-made societies, and it was by Chinua Achebe, right? Sorry, it was maybe my mistake. He wrote an essay called Conrad's Darkness. Sorry, Chinua Achebe also talked about Conrad, so I thought the answer will be Chinua Achebe. So here he wrote an essay, Conrad's Darkness, where he praises the earlier writer for offering him a vision of the world's half-made societies, and it was identify the writer, and it was V.S. Naipaul. So Sir Vidyadhar Suraj Prasad Naipal, he was born in 1932. He is living also. He is a Trinidadian Nobel Prize winning British writer known for his comic early novels set in Trinidad and Tobago. His essay Conrad's Darkness is popular among some critics of Conrad's Heart of Darkness. So Chinya Achebe also criticized like the Heart of Darkness because there Conrad talked about this nigger as inferior. He used some term. So when I made a video about Edward Said, I saw that Edward Said also took lots of concepts from Conrad's Hearts of Darkness, and he made his thesis from based on this novella. Then magic realism is closely associated with. So this is an important question, as you know that, because I am repeating this question twice or third time. Then so it was associated with Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Magic realism in literature is that portrays magic and unreal elements as a natural part in our environment. It accepts some magical element in the rational world. It was associated with Gabriela Garcia Marquez in Latin American literature. So this time also they asked a question from magical realism. Then who among the following combines anthropology, history and fiction? So it will be Mulkraj Anand. Mulkraj Anand, he was born in 1905 and died in 2004, was an Indian writer in English. Anand is admired for his novels and short stories, which have acquired the status of being classic works of modern Indian English literature. So, who among the following combines anthropology, history, and fiction? It will be Mulkraj Anand. Then, which of the following is not a partisan novel? And the answer will be D, In Custody, because Train to Pakistan, you know, Sunlight on a Broken Column, and the Shadow Lines, these are the partisan novel. So Train to Pakistan by Kushwant Singh is a famous novel published in 1956, is based on India-Pakistan partition. Then Sunlight on a Broken Column by Akia Hussain, published in 1961, is also a partisan novel. The Shadow Lines, published in 1988 by Amitabh Ghosh, is set against the backdrop of Indian independence, Second World War, and partition and riots in Dhaka. In Custody, 1984 by Anita Desai, is a story of Deven trying to get an interview of an Urdu poet Noor Sahajahanabadi, set in Old Delhi, and it is not partisan novel. Okay. Then question number 45. Which of the following option is correct? So the answer will be A. Transcendentalism was a philosophical and literary movement. Transcendentalism was a So answer will be transcendentalism was a philosophical and literary movement. And 4 mean among the major texts of transcendentalist thought are essays of Emerson, Thoreau, Walden, and writing of Margaret Fuller. So transcendentalism was a philosophical movement that developed in the late of 1820s to 1830s in the eastern region of the US. The movement was a reaction to or protest against the general state of intellectualism and spirituality. As you know that Thoreau went in the forest and stayed there maybe 2 or 4 years. So and his famous work, the Walden, also associated with the movement transcendentalism. Then there is a reading comprehension, and I'm not going to read it. So that's all for today. I hope you like this video, and if you like, please hit the like button. Thank you for giving your time.